We woke up to a beautiful sunrise over the Okavango River. You really have to be desperate to walk around in these croc-infested waters. After a good breakfast, we were back on the road. We were riding along a Caprivi strip and would be heading south for the first time at a little town called Bogani. It was hot and we stopped several times under trees to cool off. At Bogani, we filled up and headed for Botswana. We stopped at the entrance of the Mahongo Game Reserve, where we had to sign in. Amazingly, there was no charge to drive through the reserve. This was the most we saw on our 13-kilometer ride through the reserve. The border crossing into Botswana was a joke. It was unbelievably quick. From the border, we rode to Shikawi, dodging the dogs, chickens, cows, goats, children, and donkeys. We pulled into Drotski's, where we had to camp as all the chalets were full. It was a fantastic sight, right on the Okavango River. We were the only campers, so we had all the facilities to ourselves, even the next door's firewood. After setting up camp, we took a walk through the forest to the boathouse. By now we were thirsty and quickly made friends with the barman. We couldn't have picked a better place to relax and enjoy the afternoon. We stayed there all afternoon, and when it got dark, we took a boat ride to the restaurant. After dinner, it was time to relax by the fire and listen to the hippos bellowing all night. This is the time when you appreciate living in Africa. Just when you think you've seen the best sunrise, this one gets thrown in. We decided to skip breakfast and make an early start on the 400-kilometer ride to Maun. We filled up at an open-air petrol station. We also filled our spare containers for the first time, as we had heard that several garages had run out of fuel. Some of the roads were in quite bad condition and had taken their toll on a Land Rover which had a couple of Russian tourists. We tried to help them, but we did not have the right spares. Donkeys should be Botswana's national animal. The roads were full of them, together with the odd cow, goat, dog and stone thrower. It was so hot that we took every opportunity to cool down under a tree that was not infested with donkeys. The veterinary roadblocks were becoming more frequent as we approached the more developed areas. By now, my gloves were ready to be trashed. At Maun, we stayed at Audi Tented Camp. These tents were a luxury compared to the camping we've done on this trip. There's a thing about bikers. Bikers attract all sorts of characters, and at Maun, there was no difference. The hornbills woke us up a little earlier than we would have liked, but it was worth it. After Hyde had shared his breakfast with his new friend, we were back on the road. As we approached central Botswana, we saw our first of many baobab trees. The disease control checkpoints also intensified, as foot and mouth is a huge problem in Botswana. At some of the checkpoints, the police just waved us on, while at others, we were asked questions and our bags were searched. Several checkpoints made us walk over a chemically soaked blanket and then ride our bikes through a pool of chemicals. Before turning into Planet Baobab, Howie and I stopped to admire a huge statue of an ant bear. A giant anthill was on the other side of the road, suspending Planet Baobab's sign. Planet Baobab is a lodge situated right next to the Makgadikgadi salt pans. It's about halfway between Mao and Nata and caters for travellers that visit the pans. It's surrounded by huge baobab trees. Two Canadian travellers braved the conversation with the tough-looking bikers, while Howie and I enjoyed the tranquility of outside. As soon as we left the lodge, we could see the edge of the pans, and the only animals that we could see was damn donkeys. A few kilometers further, we came across a German woman who was traveling with her son. They had overheated their car and were in trouble. I took one of their containers and rode 15 kilometers back to the garage to fill the container with water. The happy family was soon back on the road. This road was turning out to be quite interesting. A little further along the road, we came across an unmanned firewood store. It wasn't the firewood that we found interesting. Simon,
what?
I think we found our male baobab tree.
Can you take a picture of me, mate?
Okay, there are a few cheesy things I could say right now, but I'll leave those up to you. Alright, I can't resist, so here's one. This tree is protected. It was early afternoon when we arrived at Nata Lodge. Stuart rode ahead of us and had already checked us in.
Hello boys! How was the ride?
That's true.
How was the ride?
Damn good. And the lady made it with her car as well.
Did she?
Yeah, she's here.
So it's not overheating or anything?
No, just needed water.
So this needed our gentlemanly touch.
The shallows were huge and were very well priced. After a very good breakfast, we left Nata Lodge and filled up under another open-air garage. We then headed for Martin's Drift, which was on the border of South Africa and Botswana. At Saruli, we stopped for petrol, only to find out that they've had no fuel for over a week. This was the first time that we had to use the spare fuel that we had carried for thousands of k's. Konakeng Lodge is situated on the banks of the Limpopo River. It must have the smallest bottle store in the world. The chalets are neatly placed under the shade of huge trees. If our little friends were not trying to steal stuff off our bikes, they were hoping to get a lift. The rest of the day was spent relaxing and sharing views of our adventure. This was the last day that we were going to spend together, and we were heading in different directions in the morning. As soon as the border post opened, Stuart and I left as we were going to try and ride the 1100 k's home. We crossed into South Africa and headed for Pongola. Howard and Simon left later in the morning as they were going to take a few days to get to Durban.
Watching the coast, suddenly I know what I want the most, and I want to tell you, still I hold back. I need some time.
Along the way, we stopped to pick some cotton and take in the beauty of Loskop Dam.
I know that look on your face, but there's something lucky about this place, and there's something good coming for you and me. Something good coming, there has to be. Thinking about Mama.
From Ermelo, the roads were in such bad condition that we were forced to stop over at Pongola. Early the next morning, I raced home to meet my brand new grandson, Chase.
The things we did, as she never had a chance, never caught a break. And how we pay for our big mistakes. I know so well the look on your face, and there's something lucky about this place. There's something good coming just over the hill. Something good coming, I know it will. And I'm in for the long run, wherever it goes, riding the river, wherever it goes. And I'm an honest man, work's all I know. Take that away, good coming, there has to be.